Current career. Okay, current job. My name is Kevin Kruger. I graduated in 2006. I was an econ major, math minor. There was no real reason for the math minor, except I just couldn't really see myself going to school and calling it school without taking a math class. So math minor. Minors really don't mean anything in the real world. Hopefully people have told you that. No one ever asked me what my minor was, but I just wanted to take a math class every semester because I'm odd like that, I suppose. I currently am a senior marketing manager at Land O'Lakes, which means that I lead a team of people to execute our organizational strategy. I currently run a business within a business of about $800 million in revenue and $100 million in profit. And my role within the organization is to ensure our teams are aligned to achieving those organizational objectives, which usually means growing revenue and growing profit. So I've been doing that at Land O'Lakes for the last 8 years. And so, yeah, I'm excited to talk with you all today. One little fun fact about me is I used to be in the career services. That was my on-campus job at St. John's. And I helped organize many of these like career exploration series events when I was working in the office, and actually met Beth way back in the day when she joined the team as an official staff member, and I was still one of the lowly student workers. So excited to chat with you all today. Kennedy, we're supposed to popcorn this, so I'm going to go to you.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Kevin. My name is Kennedy Meyer, and I am technically a 2018, I guess not more technically, December 2017 grad, but I call my class the 2018. I had an economic major, a psychology minor. So again, just kind of wanted to, like Kevin said, I kind of just wanted to take some psychology classes there. And my current career is I'm a business development coordinator at Open Systems International. So that might sound a little vague, but Open Systems International is a company in Medina, Minnesota that sells software to utility companies. And so I have a few different tasks underneath that business development role. So I help work on contracts. So definitely a little bit out of the economics realm, working on contracts, kind of getting those coordinated and signed. And then I do some administrative planning, and I'm able to do now some supervising roles too in other contracts. So I have been there for almost 5 years now. So yeah, definitely a different path kind of for an econ major, but I'm excited to kind of hear any more questions and talk about how it relates to my career path. Let's go to Tyler then.
Hey everyone, my name is Tyler Thompson. I graduated in 2016. I was actually not an econ major. I had an econ minor, environmental studies major. I was going to major in both. And by the time my junior year came around, I decided I didn't want to take that many classes. So I just stuck with the econ minor, but still very applicable to my current job and career path. I work for Three Rivers Park District, which is a special government agency in the West Metro of Minneapolis-St. Paul. So we're our own independent government agency. We operate just like any other city, county, or school district. We have about a $45 million annual budget, and I work in the planning department. I'm a research analyst, which pretty much means that I manage different research projects within our organization, most of which are visitor-oriented research projects. So figuring out how many people are using regional parks and regional trails, overall visitor satisfaction, and then providing data to decision makers within our organization at all levels to make informed decisions for whatever department and goal that they have. So that is my current role, and I've been with the Park District for 5 years. Worked in a variety of different roles, but this is really kind of what I wanted to get into, which I've been doing it for about a year now in this specific role. And I'll pass it off to Taylor.
Thanks, Tyler. Hey, everyone. My name is Taylor Luthard Joseph. I graduated in 2016 with Tyler, and I currently work at US Bank in the capital management group on the treasury floor. I'm a senior financial analyst. And I will mention my prior role because I've only been at US Bank for 2 years. My prior role, I was a bank regulator for the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, which is a department of the Treasury, and I was there for 5 years. I started there as an intern after my junior year of school. And similarly to Kevin, I also worked in career services. So I loved going to these types of events, and I think it's cool to be a part of it now. And selfishly, I'm excited to hear what other econ majors are doing. And yeah, I also minored in global business and theology because I didn't want to leave school early. So I wanted to stay. So that's me. I don't know if we got to everyone. Oh, do I send it to Beth?
Nope, you're good. I did not unmute myself.
Okay. And also, Lucas, it's really hard to hear you on our end.
All right. So, next question.
Really hard to hear. I couldn't hear anything.
And we can start with Tyler. Okay, what things were you involved in? Sorry, I just want to get the last part. Helped you start your career. I was involved in a lot of different things on campus. Most notably, a lot of the different outdoor organizations. So I worked at the Outdoor Leadership Center. That was my student employment. I worked there all 4 years and was one of the student managers my senior year. Also was a part of the peer resource program and did a lot of the outdoor trips. Was also a part of some of the different environmental clubs, like I think Sustainability Alliance was one of them. And I was also a part of a group of students that went to Paris for the climate change conventions back in 2016. And I was also on the Nordic Ski Club team. So I had a lot of different involvements on campus. I thought being involved in all of those different organizations and probably others that I'm forgetting definitely helped me in my career and getting those early jobs. I think you learn just as many important transferable skills by being involved in those groups, especially if you take on leadership roles. Oftentimes you're managing budgets and putting on events and communicating with administrative staff on campus, having to, do time management between your extracurriculars and your academics. So many different transferable skills that I think are equally as important to actually the academic focus and getting your degree that you can put on your resume, utilize when you're trying to get internships and your first jobs. And I think, even after your first job and maybe you're switching roles, I still talk about my thesis and some of the research that I did academically when I switched roles in the last year or so. And so a lot of different opportunities I was involved in, and I think definitely stuff to leverage when you are looking for internships, jobs, and so forth. I will pass it to Kennedy.
All right, thanks, Tyler. Yeah, I was also involved in a few different extracurricular activities at my time at St. Ben's. I was specifically in the Bonner Leader program. I know that's still on campus. That is kind of more focusing on some social justice aspects. So there I got involvement got to see different parts of the campus and different places in the community as well. So that was kind of cool to get off campus a little bit at times too. I was also part of the Women in Economics organization. So I know it was a very small group when I was at school. So I hope it's still going strong there. And so that was kind of cool, more of a mentorship program. And just as I can also see from the attendance, most of the econ majors during my time were male. And so it was kind of cool to get also the female perspective and some mentorship there. And then I also did the Fruth internship one summer. And so there I was at the Wilder Foundation and helped with some research down in St. Paul. And so that's was a very cool experience too. So I highly recommend kind of as summer comes up, especially I think I did that after my junior year. That was a cool experience to be a part of. Yeah, so I think that covers probably the main things I was in. So Taylor, do you want to take it away?
Yep, I can. So I come from the philosophy that any experience is good experience. So I'm currently working in banking and finance. That's my whole career so far. And I didn't do any of that at St. Ben's and St. John's, obviously. But a few things that really helped me working at the Career Center helped me to know what a good resume looks like, learn how to speak with students and the career staff, and know about our resources at St. Ben's and St. John's that the Career Center has, which are a ton. There's a huge database of alums and what they're doing and where they're working and their contact info. And alums are really willing to help you out and have a conversation. I still reach out to alums today. So that was huge. And my other piece, indirectly, I would say would be studying abroad. Just increasing your critical thinking skills, thinking on your feet, communicating with people from different backgrounds. I went to Ireland, so there wasn't like a language barrier, but because I went there, that was my first trip abroad. I really had no desire to travel when I started school, and then all my friends were studying abroad. So I was like, well, may as well check it out. And it changed my life. That opened a door for me to go to India right after I graduated. And it opens up so many doors just traveling. And I did the panel this morning, and I'll mention the same thing, but it makes you a more well-rounded person to talk to people that have different backgrounds as you, and to just help you be more well-rounded as a person. And I think that's one of the assets of St. Ben's and St. John's that you walk out of when you graduate. You know, you have the tools to kickstart your career, wherever that will be, but also you're just a well-rounded, kind person, in my opinion. So that's me.
Also, where else in your life are you going to be able to take like 3 months to go live in another country? So if you don't have plans and you still have time, study abroad. It was awesome. I did the Greco-Roman program. It was fantastic, and can't echo Taylor's comments enough.
Yeah.
I'll round us out here with some of the experiences. I don't know if they're still around, but I was part of the group that started Johnny Blend, the a cappella group. If they're still singing, me and 8 or 7 other freshmen, when I was in 2002, started that a cappella group, and that took out a bunch of my time. We practiced like 5 nights a week, and one of the things that really helped instill was the value of teamwork. No one was the boss of anyone else in that. There wasn't a captain. There wasn't someone in charge who was responsible for making the decision. And so much of your professional career isn't going to be clear, black and white. There's a decision maker. It is consensus. It is collaborating. It's influencing, motivating other people. And so the opportunity to kind of work in teams and influence without authority is going to benefit you well in your career. The other thing, I'm going to echo Taylor again, especially coming from the career services, the value of networking and learning how to network, learning how to talk to strangers, whether that's study abroad or whether that's through the networking that alumni can help afford. That skill will pay dividends throughout your career. So being able to develop a story about yourself, tell it succinctly, engage another person, and then find a way to like offer help and ask for help in the 30-minute conversation. You can do that with pretty low risk when you're in undergrad. The risk increases, right? The deals that you're striking or the negotiations that you're working through get bigger and bigger and bigger as you advance in your career. So take the time you have now. I know sometimes it's hard when you're like, should I go to the law tonight, or should I reach out to an alumni to figure out what kind of career I should have? Like, those are tough choices. But if you can dedicate some time during undergrad, you can really help hone that skill.
All right, so the major stories, you talked about your experience of being all around it. So here at St. John's, St. Ben's, and St. John's, all of you, the students will be seeing liberal arts. You guys talk about how education impacted your careers. And then we can start with Taylor.
Liberal arts. Oh yeah, so this is a great one, and I think it's really easy to argue. So I obviously went to kind of an econ related field, but I took one finance class, and just going to St. Ben's and St. John's and being in the small class sizes and having the opportunity to take all of these different courses and all these different subjects, you just rewire your brain to think in all of these different ways rather than just more mathematically speaking with econ or more analytical. So I think it's important to, one of my favorite classes was, what was it? Well, I loved all my theology classes. I had a life regret of quitting clarinet in the 5th grade, and I decided to start learning again at St. Ben's, and it was so fun. Like, my professor was, decades and decades above me as far as experience, but he was so kind and so patient, and we would just like laugh during our lessons. And the opportunities that you have to just take so many different subjects is really awesome. And that's what life is. You're going to be learning all different types of things, and it makes you a better employee to be able to learn new subjects and think on your feet and think critically. And yeah, I'm so glad I went to liberal arts school.
I'm going to jump in next because I'm eager as well. If you're done, were you done, Taylor? Okay. One thing I've learned in my career is you can pretty much do whatever you want with any major. And your econ professors might not like that I'm saying that, but it's so true. You can be an English major, even an art major. It doesn't matter. You can have virtually any career you want with any major, with the exception of maybe a doctor, certain things you need specialized training for. But the liberal arts education gives you such a unique perspective, blending different curricula, coursework, topics. And I think that's super valuable in the workforce because people want different perspectives. They want people that come from different backgrounds, and a more diversified team and work environment is better for everyone. Because those unique perspectives really can help people make progress, serve, the audiences they're serving, meet their goals, whatever they are. So the critical thinking skills piece is huge. And I think that's, some things that a lot of, large public organizations or public universities lack. So I think, the liberal arts education is super valuable. And while, you may not be interested in certain topics and you're like, oh, I have to take a, theology class or art class, there's so many unique offerings that, stray away from just, reading the Bible. Or I think my art class I took was like Japanese gardens, and we literally like looked at and took tours of different Japanese gardens in the St. Cloud area and down in St. Paul. And so it was just, very different, and it wasn't as hands-on like painting or drawing, but there's so many different ways to fulfill all of those requirements.
I'll hop in. I'll be honest, liberal arts kind of gets a bit of a tough rap these days. Folks, when they're hiring, are looking for people who have direct experience, whatever that means. Like Excel skills I built and everything in the economics program, well, those were useful, but those don't show up as like a major, right? But those are the types of hard skills they're looking for, and they assume that if you had an econ degree or a finance degree, I had a recruiter one time tell me that I wouldn't be a good candidate because I had an econ degree and not a finance degree, whatever that means, right? That just speaks to like kind of the way that the world is going to some extent and the value and power of networking, because it might be a little bit not a linear path between an art major and working as an investment banker, right? So developing connections and leveraging those skills that you build, kind of those well-rounded skills that other folks have been talking about, can help you make that connection into the career path that you're looking for. Also, what a liberal arts degree teaches you, in my opinion, is to learn how to learn. Whatever you learn in your program, you're like, I don't use econometric modeling every day, but I had to learn how to do that. And the world is changing so quickly. The things that we were like really good at 5 years ago as an organization are kind of like table stakes for competition, and we need to continue to push the envelope, and we need to learn how to interact with customers differently or whatnot. And what you build in a liberal arts program is that capacity for learning. And learning agility, mental agility are all things that we are asking employees to be really good at. And so like take a breadth of classes, really flex that muscle and build that muscle on how to learn, because you're going to be asked to do a lot of different things in your careers, and having that kind of background of like, yeah, I figured out Japanese garden art, like what makes a good Japanese garden and what makes a bad one. I learned how to do that. So that means I can learn how to do this too. The other thing I would say to focus on, or what a liberal arts, like a resource that you can use as part of your liberal arts education, is the assessment tools that the Career Center provides. So I still talk about the strong interest inventory as a test that helped me figure out that being a consultant or being an executive were like two areas of focus for me. In my first career out of St. John's was in consulting. I spent 5 years in consulting before going back to school and getting an MBA. And now I work sort of as a business executive of sorts. That sometimes the skills that whatever on your diploma isn't going to say, oh, obviously you're going to do this job. If you had an engineering degree, you're probably going to look for engineering jobs. If you have a art history major, there's not a ton of art history jobs, but you could apply those skills a lot of different places, and using some of the resources at the Career Center can help you say like, well, where can I take the skills and the things that I find joy in to find a career that's going to be meaningful to me and that will leverage the skills that I bring to the table. So all that is available as part of a liberal arts education, and it's sort of disorienting sometimes because you're like, well, I could do so many things. But the focus on kind of what drives you and learning about that now is a great way to figure out what that first step out of school is going to be. You got two sleeper agents, Beth, from the Career Center here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just kind of the others made a lot of good points. So just kind of echoing what they've said, there are a lot of cool opportunities that you get with liberal arts, getting to take classes. I got to take a bunch of classes that I think I would have the opportunity to as an econ major, like peace studies or international relations. And so it was a very cool kind of experience. And then another thing that I thought helped me out was kind of pushing me out of my comfort zone. And so that having to kind of fulfill the different requirements that a liberal arts education does, I had to get comfortable going out of my comfort zone a little bit and taking different classes that weren't necessarily in my realm. And so kind of just prepared too for a lot of career stuff is getting out of your comfort zone too. So definitely that's, I guess, the other point I had to make on top of all the other good points made before me.
All right, so we have questions already. Let's skip ahead to my questions. I'll repeat on the yes. What is like something that from like that maybe like their coworkers or maybe not. So the question was, what's some of your work that you see with the colleagues or coworkers?
I feel a little bit like an in the field reporter where I'm like waiting for the delay, right? Oh, then the messages come through.
Yeah, as you digest that,
All right, Kennedy, you get to go first this time.
All right. Okay, so what is something you have applied from your liberal arts background that your coworkers without liberal arts education did not have? So I guess, yeah, this is a good question. Probably maybe kind of to start, I would say that maybe they were more kind of the black and white thinking. Maybe potentially, it's hard to say because I don't know exactly which of my coworkers do and do not have liberal arts education, but I do see that some people from these kind of bigger universities so focused on their own major that they didn't have to kind of expand their mind and expand into different areas that maybe they could benefit from getting some insight into, and probably just maybe like open-mindedness and some additional problem-solving skills that I think I have. You have to be kind of creative when venturing into a bunch of different courses that are different in nature, and a little creative with your problem-solving skills that econ is very helpful with. It's very problem-solving oriented, and then as you kind of work through those different courses, you really have to develop in different ways. And so that probably develops differently from people from bigger universities who go on just a certain path and a certain career goal the whole time. Any other thoughts on that one?
I think some of the things that I've seen, I'll kind of echo your comments, Kennedy. I sort of think about like supply and demand curves. Pardon me, guys, we're talking to econ folks, right? When you start your career with a liberal arts degree, your skill set in technical things is lower than folks who maybe go to a more technical program. But your people skills, your ability to form coherent thoughts, either through writing or oral communications, is often higher. And interestingly, in my opinion, what I've seen is people who are better at that accelerate faster. There might be people who are go-to resources about, oh, if you need someone to run some Python code for you, I know the person for that. They're great at that. I know a great data visualization specialist. She's awesome. She can build the best dashboard. You can build those skills pretty quickly, or like leverage those skills pretty quickly right out of school. But the people whose I've seen careers accelerate faster are those with the more broader skill set, who are capable of communication, critical thinking, learning agility, like we've talked about, that can sort of accelerate past that. You can pick up the technical skills, right? Whatever you learn, like I was talking about econometric modeling. I don't do econometric modeling. I didn't right out of undergrad, but I worked in consulting and I had to build Excel models. And so those skills transferred pretty quickly. I had to learn the types of models we were building, but my ability to communicate with clients really helped accelerate my career in a way that my peers were like technical wonks. They were really good at the technical, but maybe not good at the communication and interpersonal stuff, which ultimately, I think liberal arts folks, people who have that education are like bred to be leaders, essentially, because they're more well-rounded. They can communicate with a lot of different stakeholders versus someone who's more like very technically deep.
I would echo that as well. I think the biggest asset that I see myself having compared to some of my coworkers is that my education was more well-rounded. It was more interdisciplinary, and most of my coworkers either come from a couple backgrounds: Parks and Rec, urban and regional planning, and landscape architecture, which planning and landscape architecture are very structured, rigid, programs, there's certifications, there's technical aspects to them, and they think very technically all the time. And Parks and Rec, you know, maybe people think it's kind of a fluff degree, and personally, St. John's doesn't have it, and I never wanted to major in that anyways. But it's maybe not as rigorous as the liberal arts education. So the interdisciplinary background is huge. And I think, you know, I took classes in so many different areas, political science, economics, history, etc. And the critical thinking skills are a huge asset. I want to circle back to something Kevin mentioned as well, the technical skills, which the liberal arts education lacks in some regard. I think are still important, and that if you can find a way to learn some of those skills so you can apply some of them initially, that will make you more valuable. I think they can more easily be learned over time versus some of those people-focused skills as well. But the technical skills are still very important, especially as you progress in your career too.
Yeah, you guys crushed it. I don't have anything to add there.
That was a great question. Other questions, please. Yes? If you have so the question was, if you really started at college, what would you have done different? And I think that
That's a really tough one. I can go first. You're doing a good job, Beth. So if I could restart my college career, what would I have done differently? I think I wish I would have collected more diverse experiences career-wise beforehand, before my career. So while I was in school, I did one internship, like I said, after my junior year, and then that's what I went into. And I would just say, for me personally, my skill set is more people oriented. I'm very outgoing. Finance speaking people are typically not like that. And my job is more technical, numbers based. So for me personally, I just wish I would have tried different things, different industries. I wish I would have done more informational interviews just to kind of see what's out there. I may have made the same decision, but I would have had more information. So that's one thing that I would have done. But as far as like involvement on campus and stuff, like I did so much. I met so many diverse, different types of people from around the world, and that still impacts me to this day. I met so many different types of people studying abroad that are still my friends. And yeah, most of it I would not change, honestly. Kennedy, what do you have?
Yeah, I was gonna note, good point about the informational interviews, because that was something that I remember hearing about in college, but I just never utilized as much as I probably should have. And I just felt a little silly at just calling someone up just to chat and get more information on what they do. But I definitely recommend that as well, just to see what's out there. I mean, there are so many different jobs that you don't even know exist right now. And there are still so many out there that are yet to be discovered. And so I'd say that's one kind of really good kind of note. And again, Kevin talked a lot about networking, and that's always so important too. Just starting that, and starting your LinkedIn if you haven't started one already. And I guess, yeah, I like Taylor, I don't have a whole lot that I would have changed from my other experiences. Maybe the only other thing, I was close to double majoring in psychology and econ, and just decided to graduate early. And so maybe, I mean, I overall think it was the right choice, but they definitely, careers and employment opportunities definitely focus on your major too, that not as much as on your minor. So if you're close to that double major, might as well.
I have two things. The first thing is I would definitely study abroad. I did a short-term study abroad, which was awesome. But I think earlier it was said, when else in your life do you have 3 to 4 months to literally just travel until retirement? And it is so true, because I just want to do that right now. So study abroad for sure. Second is, while there's so many awesome events and activities on campus, and I was involved in a lot of them, most of the stuff I did was outdoor related, and there's such a diversity of different clubs and activities and offerings. So go to different stuff. Like there's this really cool event they used to do. I'm guessing they still do it. It's called the Festival of Cultures. And I never went to that until like my junior year. And I'm like, wow, this is such an awesome event. There's really cool food from all over the world, different representation of students from all over the world. So such a great event. So go to some of those things that would bring you out of your comfort zone you wouldn't normally go to, and get a group of friends to go with, because everyone's there to have a great experience. So those are the two things I would do differently.
I don't know if I have a lot. I'm older than the folks on the call right now. I'm looking back at my college with rose-colored glasses and feeling like life is short, man. Have a freaking awesome time in college, because like when you get out in the real world, quote unquote, there's all sorts of responsibilities. I have a mortgage I have to pay. I've got 2 dogs I got to feed, like all sorts of crazy stuff that happen when you're in the real world. So if you're all like most econ majors, there's a personality type, a lot of achievement orientation, kind of analytical, a little social bent to that as well. Like odds are you're probably doing all the right things to set yourself up. If I were to ask a poll right now, how many of you know what you want to do when you graduate? Do you know for sure what kind of job you want? We got 2, 3, 4 hands maybe. Like, use the heck out of those career resources. Those career resources aren't available to the same extent when you graduate. Like, I can't call my boss right now and be like, hey, I'm just thinking about doing something a little different. Can you invest in like hundreds or thousands of dollars of assessments for me so that I can really figure out what motivates me and all the things that I value and what I'm looking for in a career? Like, that's not going to happen. You could do that yourself. I could do that right now. I could pay thousands of dollars for that. But you have access to those resources now at St. John's and St. Ben's. And that's a great opportunity to like take some of that and like just talk to an alum and be like, so my strong interest inventory told me that I would like consulting. Why do you like consulting? What is it about it? And use that time and invest a little bit of time in that. And then, yeah, don't graduate early. I had an opportunity to graduate early. If you can afford it, obviously, there was some cost savings. But I remember having a conversation with my parents, like, hey, I could graduate early. I think I want to stay. And they were gracious enough to be like, yep, I think that'll work. And I took some of my most favorite classes. Environmental art and architecture was one of them with Richard Bresnahan, that I still think about to this day because of that time in school. So I wouldn't change much. It's a great time.
Wise words. Great. What other questions? Yes. So the question was, what skills are most essential in that type of work?
I'll be quick on this one. I think one of the reasons I decided econ was the right major for me is because I'm an analytical person who likes working with people. When I was thinking about colleges, I actually looked at industrial engineering programs at the University of or Iowa State and other places, like very technical jobs. I looked at engineering jobs, like aerospace engineering, but none of them really worked with people that much. When I asked them, like, well, what kind of job could you get with an aerospace engineering degree? And it's like, well, you're going to like be an expert in this one particular element of wing design or something like that. And I really like interacting with people. I like communication. It's one of my strengths. With StrengthsFinder, which I'm sure you can take at the Career Resource Center, the blend of economics, of the study of people, psychology, why they do things, and the analytical skills that kind of come with that, of not just saying, well, I observe or I feel. It's like you can actually test a hypothesis, and blending the power of statistics with the power of psychology is why econ is so cool. And in my job every day as a marketer, I'm supposed to understand why consumers think and do the things that they do. And it's not enough for me to just like ask my friends, because odds are my friends aren't my consumer, right? It's potentially a mom with 2 kids at home or something like that. That's the person who's buying my products. By using data, you can combine lots of insights into and empathy. You can kind of create business strategies that help your businesses grow. And so that blend of analytics and psychology, or human nature and human behavior, that I developed kind of the initial understandings of it, that my economics program helped me every day.
I would say the exact same thing, because we work in very different industries, but I do the exact same thing. I take super complex data and I do a lot of statistical analysis, and I have to figure out how to communicate that with the people who can then apply it. So I have to tell a story with really complex data. I have to make it understandable for people who don't have a statistics or mathematical related brain and mindset. And it's super challenging sometimes, because sometimes some people just don't get it. And I like that challenge, because you have to figure out how you communicate that with them so they can use whatever information I'm providing them to make a difference or apply it in their own work. But I would agree that I too love that analytical balance and the working with people.
It's funny because before either of you answered the question, I was thinking of communication skills is one of the kind of main. I mean, obviously there's a lot of other skills that are important, problem solving, organization, different things like that. But even just this morning, when kind of preparing for this panel, as I was doing my job, I was kind of thinking what was coming in handy, and just kind of on a day-to-day function, it's amazing how much it helps to understand how other people communicate to you. People have very different reactions and very different ways that they can deliver information. So if you're in a job where you work with a lot of people, that is, but so understanding the way that people communicate with you, and also how to best communicate with others, and how to deliver, like Tyler said, how to deliver the information most effectively. So agreed with both previous comments.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add there. I think skills specific to my job are very banking focused, with like regulations and laws related to banking. And, I'm sure there's technical aspects to all of our jobs, and all of those things you can learn. As Kevin drilled home, that communication skills are very important. I believe that they're very difficult to teach as well. And that's where college is a great time. Your professors are questioning you and getting you to think outside the box. And you're at a liberal arts school, and we didn't talk about this, but like, you're around students that are studying different things and have different perspectives. Like, I'm not saying all of us econ majors think the same way, but there's probably a more similar line of thinking than other majors. And so just bringing those skills in will be beneficial no matter where you end up for your job.
All right, what's the next question? How about from this side around? Anything you're curious about? Oh, all right. Go back to the side now. Yes. So the question was, what's one piece of advice for a college student? Or, I guess to broaden it out, like that's someone who college graduating.
I've got something canned. I've been dropping little advice nuggets the whole time, but one thing I'll add, I'm going to write a script for you guys right now, and I would encourage you to take some notes. I am very passionate about networking and the power of networking to accelerate your career. And I have been on the receiving end of many requests for informational interviews that make it really difficult for me to say yes. So I'm going to write a script for you to make it super, super simple on the person you want to interview to say yes to you. Step number 1. Hi, my name is Kevin, and I'm interested in learning X from you. I'm interested in learning about careers at Land O'Lakes. Feel free to email me. You guys can all try this out after this. I'd be happy to meet with you. My email's right up here. Hopefully it's big enough for you to see. I'm interested in learning about careers at Land O'Lakes. I'm interested in learning about marketing in general. I'm interested in learning about, you name it. Maybe if you have a reference from someone, I heard about you from a personal connection of yours, or from Beth, or from, I saw you speak at a panel, kind of a point of context. Then you're going to provide 3 dates and times that work for your schedule. Don't say like, I love to meet with you whenever it works for you. Say, here are 3 dates and times that work for me. That makes it easy for me to check my calendar and be like, yep, that Sunday at 3 p.m. works great for me. I'd love to chat with you then. If you don't say that part, I have to email you back with dates and times that work for me, and the way that my calendar fills up. Like if you don't get back to me in an hour or 2 hours, those dates might be gone. So by you saying, here are 3 dates and times that work for me. And then third, pick the spot to meet. Now, this changed in the old days. It was like, let's meet at the Caribou right by your office. But now you can meet via Zoom. So I'd love to do a virtual informational interview with you. These are 3 dates and times that work for me, and here's what I love to learn from you. If you put those things, I guarantee you your response rate will be probably near 100%. And the only other advice I will add is don't be afraid to follow up. I am busy. I'm sure the folks on this call are very busy. Informational interviewing is like not my #1 priority. I love to contribute and give back, but sometimes things just go below the fold in my email inbox. And so sending a reply a week later, just like, hey, following up, here's 3 new dates and times that work for my schedule if you missed my email from before. And that has caught me a couple of times when I'm like, oops, totally forgot. Yeah, this time works great. And I even feel guilty when they do that, because I'm like, I should have responded the first time. So now I extra want to, make time for them. So if you're thinking about what careers you want to explore and all of that, the informational interview is a great way to do that. And hopefully my little 3-step email makes it more likely for you to say or get a yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. I just want to briefly comment. 3 minutes left. The other panelists have any quick things they'd like to do. Last takeaway.
I want to follow up on Kevin's point too, and just that general question. Networking is very valuable. My pieces of advice when you're looking for jobs as you graduate college would be to, if you know where you want to work or what types of organizations, figure out what their hiring process is, because every organization is different, and try and reach out to the hiring manager of whatever position or department you want to work in and do an informational interview. I did that within the last few years when I was looking for a different role in a different organization, and I just kind of followed Kevin's formula. I emailed the hiring manager, said, hey, I'm interested in learning about this. are you willing to talk? Here's some times I'm available. Got back to me right away. We chatted. And then at the end, he said, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? So I, at that moment, got the opportunity to do kind of a pre-interview before even getting an official interview offer. And in that moment, I established a good connection, relationship with him, continued to follow up with him, and it was super, super easy. So reach out to people because more than likely they're willing to chat. So that's my advice.
My last wise words would be to have so much fun. All of us are so jealous that you're still in school. And I know that's really cheesy, but get involved with everything, try things. I know it's weird after the pandemic to talk to people again, but there are so many resources at St. Ben's and St. John's, and they will all just benefit you, whether it's the Career Resource Center, talking to your professors, whatever, all the clubs, and just study abroad, study abroad, study abroad. That's all. That's all I have.
Yeah, I guess not a whole lot to add. I mean, everyone's made some good points, but yeah, just work hard, but enjoy your time at college. And thanks for having me on this panel.
Thank you all for